So we're going to talk about extensive VO2 max intervals and how to train them. Okay, so we're going to talk about the heart rate method first, and then we're going to follow up with something called the velocity method. But we're going to talk about heart rate first because it's the most practical. It doesn't really matter what activity you pick. It could be airdyne bike, it could be outdoor running, it could be treadmill running, you could be working on a punch bag, anything like that. Anything where it's obviously you can work using your heart rate. The velocity method is a little bit more specific because if you're going to pick that method, you have to choose running and running only. So the heart rate method is really simple. The idea is you're going to work above 90% of your max heart rate. And obviously to work out 90% of your max heart rate, you need to know what your true max heart rate is. And the only really way to know that is to get out there and find it, i.e. bang your heart rate monitor on, go out and perform a set of maximally intense exercise over a given period. And at the end of the session, see what your heart rate rose to. And that in theory is your true max heart rate. The other way you can do it, you can use the theoretical formula. Forget all about the 220 minus your age. This one is far more accurate. And this one, all you have to do is multiply 0.64 by your age. So if I use myself as an example, I would use 0.64 times 35 and then subtract that figure from 211, and that gives me my theoretical max heart rate. So more optimally is the best way is to go out and find it, but obviously you can use this theoretical one as well. And then from that figure, you're going to work out 90%. So if we work off a nice, easy, rounded up 90% figure, for example, 170 beats per minute. Right, so now you've got your figure. Now you know that 170 beats per minute is 90% of your max heart rate, and you need to get up there and above that for these intervals to work. So the key with the heart rate is to break the interval down into two sections. So if we're going to do a 3-minute working interval, we break the first half down into 90 seconds and the second half down into 90 seconds. And your job, if you're going to use the heart rate method, is to get there, i.e. in the first 90 seconds, you have to work up to 170 beats per minute. So if I'm going to use running, I'm going to run, and by the 90-second point, I need to be at 170 beats per minute. My job then, and this is where the real work kicks in, is in the second 90 seconds of the 3 minutes, I'm going to push on. So I want to drive my heart rate up towards my theoretical and my working max heart rate. Only then, by doing so in that second half of the interval, can I really genuinely expect an exponential rise in my VO2 over time. So really simple, guys. Let's summarize that. If you're going to pick the heart rate method, you need to work out what your max heart rate is, work out then from that figure 90% of it, and then whatever you're doing, if you're going to use a 3-minute interval, the first 90 seconds is to get to your 90% point of your max heart rate, and in the second 90 seconds or the second half of the interval, you've got to really push on. And that is how you drive up your VO2 max using these intervals. If we forget the heart rate method for a second and we say, right, okay, I'm a runner or I want to use running to drive up my VO2 max, you can use something called the velocity-based method. Now, the velocity-based method is a perfect way to drive up your VO2 max if you're using running. The reason for that is with the heart rate method, it is a great method, don't get me wrong, and it's very practical, that's its strength. But there is a little bit of a lag when it comes to heart rate. You can be working for a few seconds or 30, 40 seconds at a high intensity in running, but your heart rate may not actually catch up in that period. So there is a danger when you're using the heart rate method that you can overwork or you can underwork because of this lag. The velocity method completely takes that out, takes out all the guesswork away from you, and you work using something called speed or pace, and you know if you're going to hit that pace, you're going to drive your VO2 max up. So there's no real lag with pace. You have to do a little bit of working out with this. So the easiest way to find out the velocity which you need to work at is you do a 6-minute run or a 6-minute modified Cooper test. You've got to do it on a day where you're feeling pretty fresh, and you run as far as you can, as far as possible in that 6 minutes. Okay, so you measure the distance covered in those 6 minutes. What you then have to do is divide the distance covered by the time. So obviously 6 minutes in seconds is 360 seconds. So for example, if I covered 1,600 meters, I need to divide 1,600 divided by 360, and that gives me my meters per second. So I think it's something like 4.44 meters per second And obviously from there, I can work out my pace. If I go online and I convert meters per second into kilometers per hour or minutes per kilometer, I now have the pace at which I can run at. And the key thing is with these intervals, again, if you're going to pick a 3-minute interval, for example, you have to stick to the pace that you've calculated for that entire 3 minutes. You can't dip below it, you have to hit that pace. So if I know that if my velocity at my VO2 max is 16 kilometers per hour, for the entire 3-minute interval, I have to be running at 16 kilometers per hour. Just a quick thing, and just to recap then, you can use the heart rate method because it's more practical and it allows you to do more. If you're a boxer, it allows you to work on a punch bag and yada, yada, yada. If you want to use running, which is a little bit more specific and yields better results than the heart rate method with running, use this method and yeah, stick to it, guys. But as I alluded to right at the beginning, these intervals are really, really tough, guys. The first thing you do have to do is prepare yourself physically and mentally to go there. Never ever jump into VO2 max training just off the bat. You have to do a period of training to work up to it. And obviously you have to be mentally dialed in to do it, guys. But extensive VO2 max intervals are the gold standard, in my opinion, for driving up your VO2 max in a short space of time. I hope that makes sense. And obviously we're going to give you a couple of examples now.